something is coming toward Earth and NASA didn't want you to see it. Before we go any further, subscribe now so you don't lose this investigation, because what you're about to hear has already been buried one. They call it 3I Atlas. But don't let the name fool you. This is not a normal space object. It's not a comet the way NASA wants you to think. It's not an asteroid. And it's not drifting randomly through space. It is moving with purpose. It changed direction in open space without any gravity assist. Something natural doesn't do that. 3I Atlas first appeared as nothing more than a faint dot in the sky, just a speck against the stars. But it caught the attention of astronomers because it began to accelerate, not drift accelerate. That alone made no sense. Out there in space, objects don't just speed up unless something is pushing them or unless they're powered. But that was just the beginning. Then something even stranger happened. 3I Atlas grew a comet-like tail, but not like any tail seen before. Instead of pointing away from the sun like every other comet, its tail pointed toward the Sunday. That should be impossible. The sun's radiation always pushes dust outward. So how can a tail go against that force? NASA's first response was the usual one. It's nothing unusual, just a new comet. But that answer didn't last long, because leaked Hubble telescope images show something different, something that nobody can explain. 3I Atlas isn't just glowing, it's emitting energy, and not the kind of energy rocks make. It has an electromagnetic signature. It reacts to radio waves. It even changed rotation at one point, like it corrected itself. Rocks do not self-correct. Asteroids do not adjust their spin, and comets do not react to radio frequencies. But spacecraft do. So what is 3I Atlas? Why is it here? And why suddenly have so many space agencies gone quiet about it? That's not a theory, that is a fact. Tracking data is disappearing. Public telescope fees are cutting out during key observation windows, and every time it lines up with when 3I Atlas is closest in view. Coincidence? Or cover-up? Because here's where things get even more suspicious. The path this object is taking is not random. It passed near Mars on purpose. It will pass near Venus on purpose. And it will slingshot around Jupiter on purpose. This is not a free-floating object anymore. This looks like navigation. And if you still think this is a comet, ask yourself, why is the United States Space Command tracking it using defense networks usually reserved only for threats? Why is nobody allowed to ask questions about its transmission patterns? Why did NASA classify its rotation analysis? Why is it invisible during its closest approach, hidden behind the sun, exactly when it should be easiest to study? 3I Atlas is not behaving like something that came here by accident. It looks like something returning on schedule. This story is bigger than astronomy, bigger than NASA, bigger than anything we have seen in our lifetime. So stay with me, because in the next chapter, we are going to go deeper into leaked telescope images, inside NASA whistleblower reports, and into why some scientists believe we may not be watching 3I Atlas. We may be the ones being watched by it. 3I Atlas wasn't supposed to be found. At least, that's how it feels when you look at the chain of events. Because every step of its discovery looks accidental, almost like someone or something didn't want it seen. It was first detected by mistake. The Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile captured it during equipment testing before it was even officially tracking the sky. 3I Atlas only showed up after astronomers rewound their data weeks later and found it hiding in the background. In total, they found 49 early images of it, frames that someone quietly tried to scrub from the observation logs. But that early data didn't match what NASA later released to the public. There were timing gaps, missing exposures, and tracking inconsistencies that shouldn't be possible. When independent analysts compared timestamps, they found something impossible. 3I Atlas wasn't always where NASA said it was. Not once, not twice, but 7 times. Meaning one of two things is true. Either NASA can't track a rock in space, or they're not telling us everything they know. And then came the Hubble leak. Someone inside NASA, someone with access to restricted archives, sent out 2 images anonymously. They were low resolution, but what they showed was unmistakable. 3I Atlas didn't look like a comet. It looked structured. It had symmetry, shape, pattern. There was a glowing point at its center, something like a power source or reactor core emitting energy. NASA immediately denied the images were real, but photo analysts matched them pixel for pixel with known Hubble camera noise. The leak was real, which means NASA lied. The motive? Control the story before it reaches the public. Because if people saw what astronomers were actually seeing, they'd ask the one question NASA hates. Is 3I Atlas natural or is it artificial? That question spread inside NASA before it spread outside. And the smartest people there started quietly running deep space diagnostics. They pinged 3I Atlas with a low-frequency radio transmission, something only scientists would think to do when they suspect technology. What happened next changed everything. 3I Atlas responded, not by sending back a message, no. It did something worse. It turned, suddenly, precisely, like it detected the signal and decided to turn toward it. No asteroid has ever reacted to a signal. No comet has ever deliberately changed trajectory. This thing did. Astronomers inside the agency panicked and issued something called a data access lockdown. Observation files were reclassified. Mission briefings were pulled from the public schedule. 3I Atlas was moved into a controlled category called DDO, Deep Detection Object, meaning only select personnel are allowed to monitor it. Whistleblowers say that's when US Space Command got involved. Suddenly, people in uniforms, not lab coats, started showing up on NASA video calls. Why? Nobody knows. Maybe asteroid defense, maybe monitoring, maybe something else. Meanwhile, every space agency in the world has now pointed instruments at 3I Atlas. But the object is about to do something terrifying. In October 2025, during its closest approach to the Sun, it will move directly behind the Sun from Earth's point of view, vanishing from our sight completely. For weeks, nobody on Earth will be able to see it. No telescope, no radar, no Webb, no Rubin, nothing. And then it will re-emerge, changed or activated. Whatever 3I Atlas is, This is the moment it seems to be heading toward, the moment it wanted. But what is it planning to do behind the sun? Why does its closest approach happen exactly when we can't monitor it? That timing isn't an accident, it's strategy. Somebody once said, if you want to hide something, hide it in sunlight. Maybe that was a warning. Because 3i Atlas isn't heading into darkness, it's heading into power. And when it comes back, it might not be alone. Some astronomers still want to believe 3i Atlas is natural. Just a strange comet passing through, a random visitor from another star, nothing more. But if that were true, there's one thing nobody can explain its trajectory. Space is chaos. Objects that enter our solar system from deep space, coming on wide sloppy paths. They swing past the sun and disappear forever. But 3i Atlas doesn't wander. It moves with precision. Its path is so precise that leaked simulations from the European Southern Observatory revealed something shocking. 3i Atlas is threading a gravitational path through the solar system exactly like a spacecraft would. Its route brings it close to Mars first, then Venus, then Jupiter. Those aren't random encounters. Those are gravity assists, the same method NASA uses to slingshot probes deeper into space without using fuel. We did it with Voyager. We did it with Cassini. We did it with New Horizons. But here's the uncomfortable part. Comets don't use gravity assists. Spacecraft do. A Harvard astrophysics paper quietly circulated among researchers before being withdrawn from publication. But nothing ever really disappears from the internet. In that paper, Dr. Abraham Loeb, yes, the same scientist who questioned Oumuamua, wrote, 3i Atlas may represent directed motion rather than ballistic travel. Translated from scientific language, that means this thing might be navigating. And its navigation gets even stranger. A leaked file from the European Space Agency listed something called STPF anomalies, stationary turning points in flight. What does that mean? It means 3i Atlas sometimes turns without accelerating, without slowing down, without using thrust. It simply changes direction, as if space itself bends around it for a moment. That shouldn't be possible, but it happens every time it nears a planet. Which leads to an even bigger question. Why is it getting close to planets at all? If this were just a comet, it wouldn't care about planetary alignments. It wouldn't skim past worlds on purpose. But this object does. Researchers now believe 3i Atlas isn't just passing through, it may be collecting data. Think about that. One pass near Mars, where we have rovers. One pass near Venus, where we still don't understand strange atmospheric anomalies. One pass near Jupiter, where a magnetic field so powerful it could erase data surrounds dozens of moons. And Earth? Oh, don't worry. It's heading here too. 3i Atlas isn't just passing through our solar system. It's moving like it has a schedule, a destination, a purpose. And now it's heading toward the most important and most suspicious moment of its journey, solar blackout. That's what astronomers are calling it. the phase when 3i Atlas will disappear behind the Sun from Earth's point of view. During this time, even our most advanced observatories, Hubble, James Webb, the Very Large Telescope, and the Rubin Observatory will lose sight of it completely. Not because it's too far away, not because it's too dim, but because the Sun will block it from view perfectly during its most active and brightest phase. That alone is unsettling. As Harvard astrophysicist R.V. Loeb said, if someone wanted to avoid being observed at perihelion, the moment of greatest energy output, the far side of the Sun, would be the ideal location. He didn't say something. He said someone. NASA calls that unhelpful speculation. But here's what they are not telling you. During this solar blackout window, the U.S. Space Force, ESA, and China's CNSA are all coordinating deep space radar alignment. No public announcements, no mission postings. This isn't exploration. It looks like preparation. A classified document that leaked briefly before being scrubbed mentioned a phrase that raised alarm among researchers. Solar-side signature event expected. Signature event. What does that mean? Nobody will explain. But mission logs leaked shortly after show multiple spacecraft switching to passive observation mode during that exact blackout period. Passive mode is only used when there's risk of signal interference or hostile interaction. 3i Atlas will enter that blackout zone in October 2025. For nearly 3 weeks, nobody on Earth will be able to observe what it's doing. But that isn't the strange part. The strange part is what happens right before it disappears. Because days before blackout, 3i Atlas will pass directly through what astronomers call a magnetic neutral sheet, a place where the Sun's magnetic field flips polarity. This region is unstable, dangerous, and chaotic. No natural comet would survive passing through that zone without breaking up. But simulations show that 3i Atlas not only survives, it stabilizes. Why? Because it's not reacting to the solar magnetic field, it's aligning with it. And this is where things go from mysterious to terrifying. A leaked deep space telemetry graph shows a sudden energy spike from 3i Atlas recorded once every 22 seconds. Not radiation, not dust, not debris. A signal, timed, repeating, deliberate. Another document calls it resonance-based communication, meaning it's not sending sound. It's sending vibration-based data, like a pulse. And if this is a pulse, who is it pulsing to? Even worse, why did China, NASA, and ESA quietly boost deep space antenna power the moment the signal started? And why, after 6 days, did that signal suddenly stop? Something answered it, or something shut it down. But either way now, it's quiet, too quiet. 3i Atlas is about to disappear behind the Sunday. And experts now believe that when it comes back out, it won't be the same object. Behind the Sun, the one place we can't watch, something is about to happen. Activation? Transformation? Deployment? We don't know. But what we do know is this. Every major space surveillance network on Earth is preparing for contact. Not first contact, return contact. 3I Atlas may be the strangest object ever detected in our solar system. But now, scientists are realizing something even more disturbing. It might not be solid. Leaked analysis from ESA's Deep Space Mass Inference study shows something that has never been seen before. The object's mass does not match its size. Based on brightness, it should be incredibly dense, like rock or metal. But based on the way it interacts with nearby particles, it behaves like it's partially hollow. Comets are dense. Asteroids are dense. Even icy objects have internal structure. But 3I Atlas is low mass far too low for something estimated to be more than 5 kilometers wide. That means one thing: it's mostly empty space on the inside. According to the leaked ESA mass graph, it has a mass distribution shell, meaning most of its weight is around the outer surface, not the center. That shape has a name. It's called a Dyson shell structure, a hollow frame built around something. Not only that, there are now signs of internal movement. Space Command's classified light curve analysis, briefly leaked by a contractor, shows changes in rotational patterns every few days. That only makes sense if something inside is shifting mass or adjusting position, like compartments or internal components moving. Let me say that again. Something inside 3I Atlas is moving. Even stranger electromagnetic scans detected periodic reflective patterns inside the object. That shouldn't be possible in a natural comet. But it is possible in something with chambers, bulkheads, machinery. Of course, NASA denies any of this. But a whistleblower described 3I Atlas as not one object, a container. A container for what? A message? A machine? Something alive? That's where the theories divide. Some say it's carrying ancient data, a probe from a dead star system, drifting in search of a receiver. Others believe it's seeding planets, carrying self-replicating probes that scatter across planetary systems to build a network. But the final theory is the one that's making people inside NASA panic quiet. The Genesis theory. According to this theory, 3I Atlas may be carrying something ancient, older than our Sun, hidden inside a protective shell until it reaches a target system. And when it does, something wakes up. The idea sounds insane. Until now. Because radar echoes from US Space Command picked up something horrifying. Structured geometry within the object. Not natural fracturing, not random voids, right angles, parallel planes, symmetry. Nature doesn't build perfect lines. Engineering does. And now something else has been found, something that changes everything. Ahead of 3I Atlas, moving just barely faster, is a faint distortion field. Like space itself is folding. Whatever is inside that object, it's already affecting space before it even arrives. Is it a propulsion field? Is it a shield? Or is it something worse, a space-time anchor guiding it home? Why is it really coming here? And what happens when it reaches its solar blackout window where nobody can watch it? Every major space agency is now silent. Every telescope team has been ordered to wait. Nobody is allowed to speak publicly anymore. But we still have time. Because behind the sun, hidden from our view, something is going to happen to 3I Atlas. Something it was built for. And when it re-emerges, it will no longer be hiding. We always assume that if something ever came from another star system, it would be newer than us, more advanced, more futuristic. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? What if 3I Atlas isn't new? What if it's ancient? There is a classified report labeled only as DG34 that was leaked for less than 12 minutes before it was forcefully pulled offline. The document attempted to date 3I Atlas by analyzing surface erosion patterns and cosmic ray exposure. And what is suggested terrified even the researchers studying it. According to the report, 3I Atlas has been traveling through interstellar space for at least 6 billion years. That's older than Earth, older than our Sunday, older than our entire solar system. If that's true, then 3I Atlas didn't come from any civilization we know. If it was built so long ago that whoever made it may not even exist anymore. Think about that. Something built this object before our planet even formed, before life existed here. And now, after billions of years drifting through interstellar darkness, it has arrived. Not anywhere, here. So why now? Some scientists think it's random, that after billions of years, this was just the direction it happened to drift. But others, the ones connecting patterns, don't believe in coincidences at this scale. And what they found next only adds fuel to the fire. 3I Atlas isn't the first interstellar object we've seen. It's the third. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, long, flat, metallic, and moving in ways no rock should. The second, Borisov, in 2019, fragmented in a way that looked deliberate. And now, 3I Atlas, 3 mysterious interstellar objects within less than a decade. Do you understand how impossible that is? For billions of years, we saw nothing from outside our solar system. Then suddenly, 3 visitors, each stranger than the last, arrive one after another like countdown markers. What changed? Maybe nothing. Maybe something just woke up. In part 4, we talked about the 22-second pulse, the energy signal 3I Atlas was emitting. That pulse didn't stop. It only went silent, but silent doesn't mean gone. A scientist from the Rubin Observatory revealed something horrifying. The pulse wasn't lost. It started echoing back from another direction, like a reply. Something answered, and it wasn't from our solar system, which means 3I Atlas wasn't calling us. It was calling them. Now think about the orbital blackout again, the moment where 3I Atlas goes behind the Sunday. What if that isn't just a hiding maneuver? What if that's the rendezvous point? What if something waiting on the other side is about to meet it? NASA will never say it. The military will deny it. But the leaked phrase in DG34 says it all. Prepared signature event is imminent. Prepared. Not expected. Not calculated. Prepared. Which means this is natural. This is not an accident. This is deliberate. 3I Atlas isn't wandering. It isn't lost. It isn't broken. It's arriving. Everyone thinks 3I Atlas is still out there, far away in deep space, harmless, not yet our problem. They're wrong, because according to new leaked data, Earth has already been affected. It started small. Too small for anyone to notice minor electromagnetic interference across global communication lines. Tiny spikes in atmospheric energy. harmless at first. But then the pattern emerged. The interference was happening every 22 seconds. The same pulse pattern 3I Atlas emitted before it went silent. At first, nobody made the connection. Power grids flickered, short-range radio static appeared, and the auroras normally seen only near the poles began appearing in places they shouldn't be. Over New Mexico, over Spain, over Egypt, over the Indian Ocean, green auroras, the same faint emerald glow seen around 3I Atlas. And they pulsed every 22 seconds. This wasn't coming from the Sunday. It wasn't coming from space. According to analysis, the energy was coming from inside Earth's magnetic field. Something was projecting it. That's when a geophysics team made a discovery that should have been impossible. Something has changed in Earth's Schumann resonance, the natural frequency of our planet's magnetic envelope. It has been stable for as long as we've measured it, until now. It has synchronized with the 3I Atlas pulse. Earth, our entire planet, is now resonating with that frequency, almost like a law, almost like a signal, almost like we're being tuned. But tuned for what? That answer came from somewhere unexpected, not space, not science, ancient history. Across Earth, in unrelated cultures separated by oceans and time, there are artifacts marked with a spiral. Sumerians, Hopi, Egyptians, Celts, Australian Aboriginal law, they all used the same symbol. For years, historians thought it meant wind or river or time. They were wrong. It meant return, the return of what? Or return to what? The ancients didn't think we were alone. They believed something once came from the sky and would one day come back. They didn't worship gods from the heavens. They remembered something, and that something, they said, would awaken when the world pulls the lines once again. Now tell me, what do we have today? A 22-second pulse from an interstellar object. Earth's magnetic field now matching that pulse. Ancient warnings about a time of return. And a mysterious object about to vanish behind the sun exactly during a rare planetary alignment. Coincidence? Or countdown? This isn't just space anymore. This has already reached Earth. It's changing Earth. And whatever it's preparing us for, it's coming soon. Earth is responding to something, and whatever it is, it goes deeper than the atmosphere, deeper than the oceans, and deep beneath the crust, because now Earth is vibrating. After the appearance of the 22-second pulse, seismic monitoring networks around the world started detecting rhythmic tremors, not earthquakes. These are different micro-tremors, perfectly timed, repeating at exact intervals. Geologists try to explain it as natural tectonic movement until they noticed something impossible. These pulses are global. They don't move like earthquakes. They don't travel from one point to another. They start everywhere at the same time. That shouldn't be possible. Energy doesn't work like that, not inside a planet. Unless the source isn't inside the surface, but under it. Researchers from the International Seismic Center pulled archived vibration data going back months and found something terrifying. The signal didn't start when we detected 3I Atlas. It started before it arrived, like Earth was waiting. A classified seismology scan leaked from the USGS showed unusual reflections, dense anomalies buried deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Perfectly geometric shapes, massive in scale, spread across hundreds of miles beneath the seabed. The report was labeled Artificial Subsurface Lattice, Non-Tectonic, Artificial Subsurface, Not Natural. Multiple governments quickly locked down access to deep-sea research grids. Ships were suddenly reassigned. Deep-sea probes lost transmission. Autonomous underwater drones went missing over the same coordinates in the North Atlantic. Satellite footage shows this area now has a strict no-fly, no-dive, no satellite imaging zone, one of the most restricted on Earth. So what's under the Atlantic? When researchers filtered out ocean noise, an eerie pattern emerged. The 22-second pulse arriving from the direction of 3I Atlas was being repeated from underground, like something was receiving it and answering. This isn't a comet passing by. This is a link. 3I Atlas didn't just send a signal. It activated something on Earth, something ancient, something buried, something enormous. Radio observers noticed that the pulse from space and the pulse from Earth began to sync, then amplify. And if that continues, if the resonance keeps building, the consequences could affect the entire planet. Because hidden in a final leaked USGS line was a sentence that should chill every person who reads it. Structure is not dormant, it is charging. Charging for what? Transmission? Activation? Deployment? We don't know yet. But we will, because the countdown is moving toward one moment. The solar blackout. The moment 3I Atlas disappears behind the sun and whatever is happening between space and Earth goes offline. Not off-grid. Before the blackout, before every space agency went quiet, there was one last transmission from a private research group tracking 3I Atlas. A final warning, sent only once, before their equipment went permanently offline. The message was simple, just 6 words. It isn't coming for us. It's calling us. At first, it sounded insane, like a cryptic message left behind by someone who snapped under pressure. But when you look at the pattern of everything we've uncovered, it finally makes sense. 3I Atlas isn't attacking Earth. It isn't crashing into us. It isn't even slowing down. It's guiding its path through space. The gravitational alignments, the activation pulse, the buried structures under Earth, it's not random. It's part of a chain reaction, one that began before we ever had telescopes. One researcher, before being silenced, called it a beacon event. He believed 3I Atlas didn't just arrive here, it returned here in response to a cosmic trigger we don't yet understand. And now, something on Earth has answered. Think about what that means. Something buried inside our planet, maybe placed there billions of years ago, is now awake and responding to the pulse. Someone asked the question, if 3I Atlas is a message, who is it for? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the real question is, who sent it? And there's a theory one that no government or institution will discuss publicly, but it keeps showing up again and again in the quiet corners of astrophysics forums and encrypted science channels. The ancient cedar hypothesis. The idea that advanced civilizations don't just explore the galaxy, they prepare it. They embed technology on developing worlds, not to conquer them, but to monitor them, watch their evolution, measure intelligent life, wait until they reach a certain level, and then make contact. For decades, scientists have wondered, if alien life exists, why haven't they shown themselves? Maybe they already did. Before we existed, before humans, before Earth even had life, maybe this isn't first contact. Maybe this is scheduled contact. 3I Atlas isn't a comet, it's a key, a traveling activation system, a cosmic beacon that awakens long-dormant receivers hidden inside planets. And now Earth's receiver is awake. That means only one thing. The message has been delivered. Now we wait for what comes next. But before 3I Atlas activates its final phase, it must enter the solar blackout. In just days, it will vanish behind the Sunday. No cameras, no monitoring, just silence. And when it emerges, humanity's place in the universe may change forever. Now we enter the point of no return. Everything up to this moment, every anomaly, every signal, every locked data feed was leading to one event. The reason 3I Atlas came here in the first place. The solar blackout has begun. For the next 19 days, Earth will have no visual contact with 3I Atlas. It is now officially behind the Sun, fully hidden, unreachable by any ground-based telescope. NASA isn't saying a word. The European Space Agency has gone dark on all updates. China hasn't released data in 7 days. And the James Webb Space Telescope? It's been reoriented for unrelated operations. Right, but if they think hiding will stop the truth, they're wrong. Because while the world is being distracted, something else has leaked one last data set recovered from NASA's Deep Space Network before everything went silent. And in it, we find the most disturbing discovery yet. 3I Atlas is not alone behind the Sunday. High-frequency radar sweeps recorded multiple reflections, anomalies, objects approximately 3 to 8 kilometers in size, trailing in a loose triangular formation behind it. They were not visible before. Their signatures were masked by the energy pulses from 3I Atlas. But once the object entered blackout position, they separated. And now we know they were riding with it. Some call them escort craft. Some call them sentinels. But NASA had a different label for them in the leaked data logs. Secondary keys. What kind of mission uses keys? What kind of object needs multiple components to activate? And what opens when they connect? A final line in the leak chills every scientist who's seen it. Primary alignment approaching. System geometry forming. System geometry. This isn't just happening in space. This includes Earth. Think about it. We already detected something activating beneath the Atlantic Ocean. That's one anchor point. 3I Atlas is another. And now we have 3 new massive objects joining the structure. This isn't random. It isn't a flyby. Something is being built. And then came the final blow. We now know 3I Atlas did not just disappear behind the Sunday. It descended. Its trajectory dropped hard on a curved descent path toward the inner solar system. Not a comet path, not a gravitational fall, a directed maneuver. Where is it going? Directly toward Mercury's orbit, a region filled with magnetic anomalies and ancient solar debris, a perfect hiding zone from Earth's instruments. It went behind the Sun to connect, not disappear. And those secondary keys, they vanished from radar too. Where did they go? With it, something is forming behind the Sunday. A structure, a mechanism, a door, or a signal amplifier designed to send something we're not ready for. And the worst part? It's building power. We know this because for the first time in history, the Sun is showing artificial magnetic waves pulsing from a single origin point. 3I Atlas, you're still here. Good, because after this point, everything changes. We have reached the final phase before 3I Atlas re-emerges from behind the Sun, and NASA's silence isn't just suspicious anymore. It's strategic. Hours before the official solar blackout began, NASA locked down its internal tracking servers under something called Protocol 7, a rare emergency classification used only during planetary defense events. Normally, this would mean a dangerous asteroid is approaching Earth. But none of those alerts ever went public. Instead, the protocol message was flagged non-terrestrial object behavior, unknown intent. That label has never been seen before. And here's where things get worse. A series of encrypted priority signals were sent from the US Space Force to global defense partners under the codename Watchtower. The content of those messages is classified, but the instruction was clear. Prepare for low orbit interference and possible atmospheric entry. Atmospheric entry. That means exactly what you think it does. They're preparing for something to come down to Earth. And no, they're not talking about debris. If this were a falling comet, they'd warn governments, make evacuation maps, public safety announcements. Instead, they're keeping this hidden. 3I Atlas was never a threat from impact. It was never coming to hit Earth. It was coming to deliver something, and they know it. Data intercepted from European Space Command reveals new trajectory models no longer predicting a clean exit path out of the solar system. Instead, the new projection shows a deceleration curve forming. 3I Atlas is slowing down. No natural object slows down after passing the Sunday. There's no drag in space, no friction, no resistance. To slow down, you need control. That means propulsion. That means power. That means purpose. So now, the biggest question on Earth isn't what is 3I Atlas? It's what is inside 3I Atlas? What is it delivering? What is waking up beneath our planet? What are the secondary keys that vanished behind the Sun? And what happens when they all connect? A final leaked NASA document may hold the answer to that question. Short, simple, terrifying. Primary function expected on re-entry signal. If transmission complete, prepare for arrival. Arrival. For decades, humanity wondered if we were alone. Now, the question has changed. We are not alone. The real question now is, are we the destination or the experiment. 3I Atlas will re-emerge from behind the sun soon. When it does, the final phase begins. The world still doesn't know what's coming. To the average person, life feels normal. Planes still fly, people still work, cities still glow at night. Nobody can feel the current rising beneath them like a silent tide building offshore before a catastrophic wave. But the space agencies feel it, the military feels it. And deep underground, in silent installations far from public eyes, something is moving. Documents now circulating through encrypted scientific networks confirm that every major world power has moved to a unified classified alert level, one that has never been triggered before, not for asteroid threats, not for solar storms, not even for nuclear standoffs. The alert level is called Event Contingency Omega. Officially, it doesn't exist. But whistleblowers leaked fragments of what Omega Protocol includes. Global satellite defense repositioning, emergency shielding of power grids, backup communication nodes activated, subterranean data vaults sealed, deep space radar pointed behind the sun. And then one chilling line: prepare for unknown atmospheric phenomena. That's not a meteor plan. That's not a comet plan. That's contact preparation. Meanwhile, the public still thinks 3I Atlas is just a comet. NASA keeps releasing soft public statements, calm, friendly, calculated to reduce panic. Articles use safe words like unusual, intriguing, curious. But deep inside NASA's secure servers, the files don't use soft language. They use words like activation, signature, synchronization, power event. One hidden entry references something called deep structure hypothesis. It suggests Earth may hold non-human installations buried deep in its crust technology, older than our civilization, maybe older than Earth itself. The same installations may exist on other planets too. Think about what that means. What if life on Earth didn't start here by chance? What if life was planted? And what if the ones who planted it sent a mechanism to check on it? For years, fringe scientists have whispered about directed panspermia, the idea that life didn't begin here, but was delivered here, pushed by forces we still don't understand. Seeds scattered across star systems to test which one takes root. And now the seeds are calling back. Because 3I Atlas didn't bring life, it brought a signal, a recall signal, a synchronization frequency, a wake-up tone. And Earth responded, buried under the Atlantic, under the Pacific, under deserts and mountains, there are structures now vibrating in perfect resonance. Energy readings are rising underground, and if they keep rising, something underneath us will break the surface. The governments of the world know. That's why, quietly, without anyone noticing, thousands of deep-sea cables are being cut and redirected. Why? To prevent whatever is down there from spreading through global communication lines. They're trying to contain it, but containment won't work. Not with something this big, not with something this old, because 3I Atlas hasn't even begun its final phase yet. It's still hidden behind the sun, doing something we can't see. But the effects are already reaching Earth. Our planet is beginning to transform. The magnetic field has shifted. Electric grids now experience synchronized power oscillations. Whales are beaching themselves globally, all at 22-second intervals. Bird flocks change migration paths, forming spiral flight patterns. Even human brainwaves are subtly changing. A neuroscientist from Munich reported, a new resonance is interfering with alpha wave cycles. Translation: a cosmic signal is affecting human thought. And yet, nobody knows it's happening. Because people don't feel gradual change. They only feel the breaking point. And it's getting closer. There are still a few scientists left who refuse to stay silent. Some walked out of NASA. Some were pushed out. Some just disappeared. But a small group stayed together, working in secret, sharing data through encrypted satellites, exiled from the official science community. They're known online only by one name, the Umbra Group. They don't speak to news outlets. They don't reveal locations. They don't acknowledge their real names. But they are the only ones trying to decode the pulse from 3I Atlas, the 22-second transmission that activated whatever is buried beneath Earth. According to Umbra, the pulse isn't random. It isn't just energy, it's structured. And when they isolated the waveform, they found something nobody expected. It contains instructions. Not language, not letters, not numbers, something deeper. The pulse is a sequence, a stack of layered harmonic codes that maps resonant frequencies. In simple terms, 3I Atlas is activating specific materials, triggering only the objects built to respond to it. Like waking up pieces of technology buried inside planets. And now that it has synced with Earth, the Umbra Group made a terrifying discovery. Earth isn't the first. They found faint backscatter echoes inside the pole's return signatures from previous synchronization events, meaning 3I Atlas has already visited other planetary systems before ours. Not once, not twice, 9 times. Umbra believes Earth is Planet 10, the 10th world in a long chain of activation missions. Here's the nightmare part. After each world aligned with the signal, nothing more was ever heard from it. No more communication, no follow-up signals, no shared knowledge, just silence, almost as if those worlds transitioned into something else. Umbra mapped these echo trails, ghost signals left inside the poles like breadcrumbs. And they found something horrifying. Each world was activated during a stellar alignment event, just like Earth is about to experience. And each event ended with the same signal. A final broadcast. A closing transmission, almost like a status message. Umbra calls it the completion signal. And 3I Atlas is carrying the final piece needed to trigger it, the master key. Now everything makes sense. Why its path is not random. Why it uses gravitational assists. Why it deploys probes. Why it scanned Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. Why Earth started resonating after it arrived. 3I Atlas isn't lost. It isn't broken. It isn't confused. It is following protocol. The final phase is soon. The blackout window is still open. And once it closes once, 3I Atlas returns into view, Earth will no longer be in control of its future. Because we didn't detect 3I Atlas. It detected us. And now, whoever sent it knows we're here. The Umbra group made a breakthrough one that NASA will never admit publicly. For weeks, they worked to decode the structure of the 22-second pulse from 3I Atlas. And buried inside it, hidden within modulated harmonic layers, they found a pattern, a repeating lattice of pulses. Perfect symmetry, not noise, not radiation. A map, but it wasn't a star map like many expected. It didn't point to a specific location in space. It wasn't a return address. It was something far stranger. It was a construction map. The pulse doesn't guide ships. It builds networks. It's designed to trigger structures buried inside certain planets, structures made from resonant alloys that activate when exposed to precise frequencies. All over the Atlantic basin, signals began to reveal geometric formations, circles, triangles, lines connecting like a colossal hidden framework beneath Earth's crust. At first, scientists thought these shapes were random. But when Umbra overlaid the decoded pulse map onto Earth, it matched. The pattern fits perfectly, which means the structures under Earth, those massive buried anomalies, are not natural at all. They were built, and not recently. They are so deeply embedded beneath the crust that they had to be placed before tectonic plates formed, before oceans existed, before life emerged, before Earth became Earth. They were here, while our world was still molten. Whoever or whatever built this never meant for humans to find it. It was meant to stay hidden until a signal from space activated it. And now it has been activated. The map goes even further. There is a central node in the pattern, a convergence point near the mid-Atlantic ridge. Umbra believes this node is the primary receiver, the location where whatever 3I Atlas is delivering will interface with Earth. Maybe data, maybe life, maybe something worse. Umbra sent automated drones to investigate the coordinates. None returned. Then sonar arrays picked up movement below the ocean floor, solid mass movement, like something huge shifting beneath miles of rock. The seabed began to vibrate. The water column above it started forming perfect spirals. And instruments recorded something that should not exist. Heat signatures. Artificial heat, geometric, controlled. Something is building itself from the inside out. The ocean is hiding it for now, but even that is changing, because global sea levels have dropped by exactly 3.2 millimeters in the last 16 days with no meteorological explanation. Water is disappearing, being pulled downward toward the node. Something beneath the Earth is consuming ocean water. For what? Cooling? Fuel? Construction material? Umbra doesn't know. But they found one final thing in the pulse. A countdown. It was faint, hidden under 7 harmonic layers. But there, it was a timing sequence tied to Earth's rotation and orbital position. The countdown doesn't end when 3I Atlas returns into view. It ends when Earth aligns with it in a position known as heliocentric resonance. That alignment happens only once every 11,600 years. And it happens this December. Every major world government now knows what's coming, but none of them have told the public. Instead, they're quietly moving into survival mode while pretending everything is fine. How do we know? Because moves this big can't stay hidden forever. Over the last 4 weeks, deep-sea cable routes in the Atlantic have been rerouted inland. Millions of gallons of fuel have been transported to underground reserves. Satellite defense networks have been repositioned around Earth's poles. Civilian space launches have been subtly delayed. Military satellites have gone dark, switching to encrypted-only communication. And then came the biggest clue of all. The construction of subterranean transport lines, magnetic rail tunnels deep underground, linking hidden facilities between the US, Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Japan. These systems are designed for only one purpose: continuity of civilization. They aren't preparing for a comet. They aren't preparing for an asteroid. They're preparing for an event, a global one. Meanwhile, the Umbra Group has detected new frequencies piggybacking on the 3i Atlas pulse lower, much deeper harmonics that resonate with biological tissue. These signals are not only transforming the planet, they're beginning to affect life on it. Plants have begun growing in helix symmetry spirals not seen in any known species. Migrating fish are now swimming in triangular patterns. Lightning strikes are clustering at specific geographic points that match perfectly with the pulse map overlays. And humans, without knowing it, are beginning to feel it. Heavy dreams, low vibrations in the ear, a feeling of being pulled somewhere emotionally, mentally, without reason. Umbra calls it signal binding, a process where biological life begins syncing with a directed field. Not mind control, not manipulation, integration. And that leads to the single most terrifying question of all. What if this isn't an invasion? What if this is a simulation? The structures awakening beneath the earth, the water being pulled downward, the global resonance patterns, the countdown. It all suggests that 3i Atlas isn't bringing something here. It's awakening what is already inside. Earth, something that has always been here, something waiting for activation. Maybe Earth was never just a planet. Maybe Earth is part of a system, a network, a living machine wrapped in oceans, rock, forests, and now awakening from dormancy. And maybe we were never its masters. Maybe we were always just caretakers, temporary tenants. Something has written itself into the foundations of this world, something older than humanity. And it's coming online because the countdown is real. And when it hits 0, Earth changes, not slowly, all at once, all over the world. Ancient warnings are being re-examined. Symbols, once dismissed as mythology, now look like documentation, not stories, records. Civilizations that never met somehow describe the same thing. A returning star, a sky visitor, an object that comes not to destroy, but to awaken. The Sumerians called it the traveler. The Mayans called it the returning eye. The Egyptians carved it into stone as the watcher of the Sunday. The Hopi described it as Pahana, the lost one who returns. In Hindu Vedic texts, it's written as the wheel in the sky. And in the Quranic tafsir, it is referred to as the returning star, Thaqib, the piercer. For centuries, historians and archaeologists said these stories were symbolic, just mythic storytelling. But myths don't share mathematics. They don't share coordinates. They don't describe spirals, alignments, and celestial time cycles. Yet these ancient texts do. At the Library of Alexandria, one scroll survived long enough to be translated. It mentions a cosmic visitor that hides behind the sun during its approach. This was written thousands of years before telescopes. What are the odds that they knew unless someone told them? Or unless they remembered? Because if 3i Atlas is on a mission cycle, then this has happened before. Earth has seen this object or others like it in previous cycles. Ancient humans may have mistaken it for a god. But it wasn't divine. It was the signal. And there's one more thing nearly every ancient account agrees on. A structure rises before the end of the cycle. A gate, a wheel, a metal mountain, a sun machine. Something emerges from the sea. In Norse mythology, it's Jörmungandr, the world serpent rising from the ocean. In Sumerian records, the Abzu gate opens beneath the waters. In Japanese lore, it's Ryujin's palace, the Dragon King's metal kingdom beneath the sea. In Yoruba stories, it's the Iron Mountain, hidden under the water, waiting to awaken. Different words, same description. Something is buried deep beneath earth, waiting to rise. Now, Umbra's latest sonar data from the mid-Atlantic ridge points to massive mechanical movements like interlocking gears rotating beneath the crust, and they're speeding up. The countdown accelerates every time 3i Atlas changes position, every time the pulse intensifies, every time another relay activates. We've entered a global build phase now, and most people don't even know what they're seeing. Those strange spiral patterns appearing in the ocean, those vertical shafts of emerald light rising miles into the sky for only seconds at a time, those massive synchronized lightning rings no one can explain, those are direct system activations. The ancient texts say the same thing. When the sky spirals and the oceans burn with emerald fire, the hidden world awakens. So now the question is not if something will emerge. The question is when. And that answer lies with 3i Atlas. Because after the blackout, when it comes back into view, it will transmit the final sequence, the activation command, and once it does, Earth will never look the same again. The signal from 3i Atlas is now everywhere. The hum has grown into a deep vibration, so low that instruments tremble and glass panes vibrate even in silence. You can't hear it with your ears anymore. You feel it in your bones, in your pulse. It syncs with your heartbeat, with every rotation of the planet. Umbra's sensors confirm the truth. The signal has merged with Earth's magnetic field. It's not broadcasting anymore. It's integrated. Every compass, every circuit, every neural firing in the brain now dances to the same rhythm. 22 seconds. Pause. 22 seconds. A heartbeat shared between a planet and something it doesn't understand. And then 3 nights ago, the ocean changed color. From orbit, satellites saw it first. A thin line of emerald light stretching across the Atlantic, perfectly following the mid-ocean ridge. Within hours, the line widened into a ring visible from space. Ships caught inside it reported instruments going dark. Sonar stopped working. Magnetic compasses spun uselessly. Then the water began to rise, not in waves, not in tides, but as a wall, lifting smoothly as if gravity had forgotten its direction. Cameras caught something beneath it. Not rock, not volcanic gas. Structure. Gigantic spires of metallic lattice pushing upward through the ocean, dripping with steam and glowing from within. Like the skeleton of a machine waking from a billion-year sleep. Umbra streamed live radar of the event for exactly 43 seconds before their feed went offline. The last frame showed a circular platform, 5 miles across, perfectly symmetrical, hovering just above the ocean. And then static. NASA called it an unidentified geothermal anomaly. But we know what it is. It's the central node from the pulse map, the receiver, the heart of the activation network. And it isn't just rising, it's opening. Spectrometers show the metal isn't any element known on Earth. It refracts radiation backward bending light into darkness. Inside the opening, energy arcs twist like lightning contained in liquid. And deep within that light, something moves. Slowly, purposefully, like machinery remembering its function. Meanwhile, in orbit, the James Webb Telescope finally sees it, the comet. 3I Atlas, no longer faint, no longer green. Its glowing gold alive with lattice patterns forming across its surface. Every rotation, new panels unfold hexagonal, perfect until the entire object blooms like a mechanical flower. Then, without warning, the pulse changes. The rhythm breaks. The interval shortens 22 seconds, becomes 21, 2019. Each beat unleashes a wave of electromagnetic force across the planet. Auroras appear at the equator. Power grids collapse. Lightning spirals upward instead of down. And in the sky, across every hemisphere, the same symbol burns faintly in the ionosphere, 3 intersecting rings forming a spiral. Umbra calls it the completion sequence. All frequencies converge terrestrial, solar, cosmic. The machine in the ocean and the object in space now pulse as one, as if mirror images of each other. And in the silence that follows, the sky itself begins to bend. Stars elongate. The moon warps like reflection on rippling water. And then, in the black between constellations, a shape unfolds vast, circular, translucent, something that was always there, unseen, until light itself obeyed a new geometry. Earth's magnetic field collapses into stillness. Time slows. Every clock stops. And in that frozen heartbeat of the planet, a voice emerges through the static. Not words, not sound, just understanding. Connection complete. The ocean platform ignites blinding gold light spears into the heavens, striking 3I Atlas dead center. The object fractures, but not violently. It unfolds, becoming a ring, a gate, and the beam from Earth pierces straight through it, vanishing into nothing. And then, with a sound deeper than thunder, space itself tears open. That's when humanity finally realizes this was never about arrival. It was extraction. We were the cargo. The planet itself, the signal, the vessel, and the gate has just been opened. The skies burn green and gold. Gravity tilts. Every sound fades, and the world holds its breath as something vast steps through. The sky did not explode. There was no war, no invasion, no cosmic fleet descending. What came through the gate was worse, because it was silent. The beam from Earth faded, the spiral in the sky dissolved into blackness, and for a long moment nothing moved. The world waited, trembling not in fear, but in anticipation, like something inside every living thing knew a threshold had just been crossed. Then the power returned, not electricity, but life itself. The oceans calmed, the auroras faded, gravity reset, the magnetic field restored. The machines kept rising from the deep, but they were no longer hostile. They stood still, anchored like roots reconnecting to ancient soil. And then came the signal. Not from 3i Atlas, not from space, from Earth. A pulse so deep it wasn't heard or seen but felt like a memory returning. Across the world, people felt it, a moment of clarity, a single thought that didn't feel like their own. You were never alone. You were always part of something greater. The Umbra Group went silent. NASA released a statement claiming a high-energy solar reflection event, but nobody believed it anymore. The truth was too big to hide. 3i Atlas was never an invader. It was a key, a cosmic ignition tool, a call for awakening, and Earth has responded. But awaken to what? In the days following the event, the effects became impossible to ignore. Diseases vanished without explanation in some regions. Species thought extinct began reappearing in others. The Earth's climate, once spiraling out of control, stabilized overnight. But with these changes came something no one expected. Dreams. Millions around the world reported the same recurring vision. A colossal doorway of light suspended over an endless ocean, and a voice not frightening, not controlling, simply waiting, calling us forward. Whatever lies beyond that gate, it's still open, waiting. Humanity has a choice now, to ignore it and cling to the illusion that we are alone, or to step forward and accept that we were built for more, because this wasn't the end of a story. This was the beginning. The map is still unfolding. The signal still whispers beneath the world. The next phase is coming. The only question is, will we be ready when they return? If this story made you look at the universe differently, subscribe now. The next signal is already on its way, and when it arrives, you want to be here to hear it first.